हेलो अस्सलाम वालेकुम एंड वेलकम टू वांटेज डेवलपर्स प्रेजेंट्स गेम ऑन है। मैं हूँ रोहान नदीम। सबसे पहले आप सबको हमारी पूरी टीम की तरफ से पीटीवी स्पोर्ट्स और गेम ऑन है की टीम की तरफ से बहुत बहुत ईद मुबारक। आई होप यूर ऑल हैविंग अ वंडरफुल ईद विद योर फैमिली एंड फ्रेंड्स राइट नाउ। हम क्रिकेट वर्ल्ड कप के अंदर तो ज़रूर मसरूफ़ हैं। ऑफ कोर्स हम यहाँ पे अपनी पीटीवी होम की पीटीवी स्पोर्ट्स की फैमिली के साथ जो है वो ईद उल अज़हा सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं। साथ साथ वी ट्राइंग टू कीप एन आई ऑन व्हाट्स हैपनिंग इन द वेस्ट इंडीज़। वी know we are here and we're so excited for the Super 8 stage to finally kick off. We're bringing to you all of the pre-match and post-match analysis and all the buzz of the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2024. So आप सबका बहुत शुक्रिया कि आप हमें ईद वाले दिन भी ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं। और अभी हम आज के मैच के ऊपर भी बात करेंगे, थोड़ा सा बिल्डअप करने की कोशिश करेंगे। कल पाकिस्तान ने अपना आखिरी मैच खेला इस वर्ल्ड कप में। They won the match. They ended their campaign with 2 extra points. But unfortunately it wasn't consequential और पाकिस्तान जो है एक अर्ली एग्जिट ले चुका है इस वर्ल्ड कप से। तो हमने उस सब के बारे में भी कल बात की थी। But time to look forward to the Super 8s. We have all 8 teams now who have secured their spot in that next round of this World Cup. So सबके ऊपर बात करेंगे। I've got with me my beautiful co-host all the way from Australia, Erin Holland, who's looking beautiful in her Desi Eid clothes as well. Erin, Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak.
You look beautiful. How is your Eid going in Pakistan so far?
Bahut shukriya for the lovely intro. As always, it's wonderful. This is the first time I've been here for this particular Eid, so it's wonderful to be spending it with my PTV sports family. We've already been celebrating. The professor has been bringing in all the treats as well. We just cut an Eid cake. Looking forward to spending some more time with the family. We've got a big night ahead. There are so many matches on still to look forward to in this edition of the T20 World Cup. And I don't think anyone would have thought that this might have been the Super 8 that we've ended up with, but here we are. Nothing like a T20 World Cup to just throw a few spanners in the works and have a few surprise upsets. So still so much to look forward to, and we so appreciate you all still joining us here because there is still plenty of action for any cricket lover. And of course, you can all support Australia with me now.
But of course, Australia still pretty much in the World Cup as far as Pakistan goes and New Zealand goes. Well, not so fortunate this time around, but let's go to our panel, see what they have in store for us today. Looking great, gentlemen. Eid Mubarak. We've got the fiercest striker, one of the fiercest to ever strike the ball in white ball cricket, all the way from New Zealand, Martin Guptill.
Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak. How are you feeling?
Very well, thank you. Nice to be back and with my fellow panelists here today.
जी उनके साथ बैठे हैं जी यूनुस खान. He needs no introduction. The man who lifted the T20 World Cup for Pakistan in 2009, looking dashing, all of you in your beautiful J-Dot Eid clothes. Assalamu alaikum, Eid Mubarak.
Eid Mubarak, aapko Eid Mubarak.
Lovely to have you, and of course the professor who's been sneaking us some Eid treats behind the scenes. Professor, assalamu alaikum, Eid Mubarak. How are you?
वालेकुम अस्सलाम। सबसे पहले आपको, तमाम सुनने वालों को, देखने वालों को, पूरे पाकिस्तान को, पूरे मुसलमानों को ईद मुबारक।
चलें, ईद की खुशी तो है अपनी जगह, लेकिन और ज़्यादा होती अगर पाकिस्तान वर्ल्ड कप में
अब बुलाएगी क्या
करता। लेकिन रो के अब
कल 2 पॉइंट लिए तो है ना, तो बस उसको ईद का गिफ्ट।
हम उस पे खुश रहे जो हमने 2 मैचेस जीते हैं। बट Erin, moving forward, of course, as you said, there's much to talk about. You know, before we talk about the upcoming game, we know we finally have Bangladesh as that number 8 team, and they've worked pretty hard for this. I mean, it's great for their nation who are as passionate about cricket as we are.
Absolutely. I just love seeing the Bangladeshi fans come from wherever they live to come and support their side, no matter where the games are, whether it be in the US or all the way in the Caribbean. They're there in full force, but they were up against the might of the Nepalese fans, who've also been equally fantastic. In the early hours of the morning, we did see Bangladesh defend the lowest ever total successfully in a T20 World Cup in the history of the comp, which was really well done by them after the Nepalese bowlers put together an absolute masterclass to bowl them out for such a small score. But they were just all at sea when it came to the bat, so much improved from Nepal, particularly on the front with the ball, which is just sensational to see from them as we see the rise of these associate nations in cricket. But you know, so exciting for Bangladesh. They had a really hard group. It featured Sri Lanka, South Africa, the Netherlands and Nepal. To get the job done and to get that second position in the Super 8s was really well done by them, and we're going to deep dive exactly what happened in that match now. But Hafiz, we saw Bangladesh. We know how much potential's within their ranks with bat and ball, and they finally got the job done and into a Super 8. Are you surprised?
Not surprised. We all know that they can do that, but overall, if you look at the journey they had during the World Cup, they always been underperformed. So this time, I think the series before the World Cup they had with the US, obviously they were on a defeating side, but they came strong after that. The way they came back from that defeat, the way they shown a right body language and the character towards the game of cricket, and especially I'm really impressed the way they fought against South Africa in a game in New York, because that was a game given them a great confidence. And you know, winning these kind of a matches always boosts your confidence as a team. Every individual start believing in themselves when you restrict a total which can easily be chased. So I think as a team they must be on a boost. It will be a morale booster for them, from where they can lift themselves higher and they can have all the right momentum into the Super 8. So I expect them to do well, because you know, the two giants of Asia, Pakistan and Sri Lanka, is out of the competition. So I personally would like to see them doing well and going into the Super 8, into the semis.
Perhaps a new superpower in the Asian world of cricket, and
you know,
Bangladesh.
Their performance has been really confusing to follow, because at home they're so great. I mean, they have that potential. Whenever teams visit, they're dominating. But away they've mostly struggled, especially in the white ball formats. But what will you say on Bangladesh's, you know, qualification in the next round, and what can they threaten? How can they threaten the other teams, especially the likes of South Africa and Australia?
Yeah, firstly, congratulations to them. You know, the first time they've got through to the Super 8s in a World Cup, and they've played some really good cricket. They've been on some tough surfaces, which their bowlers have been able to exploit. And really, they haven't been chasing that bigger totals, which is a testament to how they've bowled and how they've utilised the conditions that they've been put in front of them. I mean, their seam bowling unit has been fantastic. The spinners have done a really good job, and they've backed them up in the field as well with some really good fielding. So they've actually been one of the all-round better teams, I think, in this tournament, and they came close against South Africa and probably should have beaten them, but they fell on the wrong side of that result. But all in all, they played really well. On your point about being so strong at home and away, they're just so used to playing in those conditions in Bangladesh, aren't they? It's, you know, Hafiz, you've played there, Yunus, you've played there. You go there and you just feel like everything's against you as a touring player. You know, I haven't played there that much, but you know, having watched from back home and hearing what other guys have said, it's just so hard. It's so hot. It's humid. The ball's spinning square. The ball pitch in the same place. One will spin. One will keep low and skid through. So you never know sort of where you stand when you're over there. And then when they come to New Zealand, I've obviously never played them much outside of New Zealand, they just look all at sea. It's like they haven't prepared, they're unsure of what to do, but you know, in saying that, they beat us at home 2 summers ago in a test match, so they are starting to learn and they are starting to get better. So you know, years to come they could be a bit more of a challenge away from home.
Completely different conditions, obviously, when you come across to the likes of Australia and New Zealand. That bounce is a lot more consistent, a lot higher than they're used to playing. And I guess perhaps the fact, Yunus, that we're in the Caribbean now as well, some of these decks will actually really suit the likes of their bowling unit. And we always say how important it is to have a quality spinner, and they've got those in spades, but it was the fast bowlers that did the job for them over in St Vincent in the early hours of this morning. Tanzim Hassam Saqib was just absolutely brilliant, completely unplayable. How impressed have you been at the rise of the fast bowlers in the Bangladeshi ranks over the years?
And this is the nature of the game. You know, you use your condition well, especially Bangladeshi players and team. They when they play at home, so they use the condition well. And it is not only Bangladesh. It's similar to Australia, to New Zealand. They use their condition very well. So, but nowadays they have the quality fast bowler, and they have the 2 senior guys like Saqibul Hasan and Mahmudullah. Mahmudullah is the guy who have all the experience in this T20, the white balls, and the Test cricket as well. So I think now they know that it is beyond the personal achievements. So they're now playing like as a unit, and they deserve to be in this Super 8. And I hope they will be somewhere. They will be tried to somewhere that in that fourth position. So I think it is a good chance for them to just if they turn on and they play as a team, they have a good chance to reach that semis.
चले एक क्विक नज़र डालते हैं मैच समरी पे भी। आज बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग, एक बार फिर एक लो स्कोरिंग थ्रिलर हमें देखने को मिला, बट नेपाल वन द टॉस एंड पुट बांग्लादेश टू बैट फर्स्ट एंड ऑफ कोर्स शाकिब विद 17। एक कलेक्टिव बैटिंग फेलियर हम इसे कह सकते हैं, या थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम एरिया नजर आया वंस अगेन विद द बैट। रिशाद हुसैन विद 13 ऑफ 7 इन द एंड, चिपिंग इन दोज क्रूशल रन्स। तस्कीन अहमद विद 12। बॉलिंग अगर हम देखें नेपाल की तो बहुत सुपर्ब स्पेल्स उनके बॉलर्स ने किए टू रिस्ट्रिक्ट बांग्लादेश टू 106. We saw Lamishen, pick up a couple of wickets earlier this morning, and of course, Dapinder Singh once again picking up a couple as well. अगर हम चेस की बात करें तो नेपाल ने स्टार्ट में कोशिश ज़रूर की उनके ओपनर्स ने, लेकिन उसी कोशिश की वजह से वो जल्दी भी आउट हो गए. एंड आसिफ शेख with 17. We saw Kushal Malla with 27 of 40. He took his time there, but in the end couldn't finish the run chase. Dipendra Singh Airy 25 as well from him. But जवाब में जो बांग्लादेश की बॉलिंग थी वो इतनी शार्प थी, एंड ऑफ कोर्स आप देख सकते हैं कि तंजीम और मुस्तफिजुर रहमान दोनों के spells बहुत ज़बरदस्त and worth talking about. 4 wickets for Tanzeem and 3 for Mustafizur, and of course Shakib picking up a couple as well. And Bangladesh won the match by 21 runs, which puts them through to that Super 8 stage. Qualify कर चुके हैं वो next just below South Africa with 6 points. And Sri Lanka, Netherlands and Nepal of course have been knocked out of this World Cup. But unfortunately Nepal couldn't win the game, but they did put up that fight. हफीज़, हमने बॉलिंग के साथ भी देखा कि पहले तो बांग्लादेश को रिस्ट्रिक्ट करना एंड उसके बाद फिर बैटिंग में उनके प्लेयर्स वो उस तरह से कंस्ट्रक्ट नहीं कर पाए, ना पार्टनरशिप्स लग सकें. और वंस अगेन दी ओपनर्स, वी हैव सीन ओपनर्स स्ट्रगलिंग टू गेट दोज पार्टनरशिप्स गोइंग इन दिस वर्ल्ड कप. अगर हम अक्रॉस जितने भी अभी तक हमने मैचेस देखे, क्या वजह या कंडीशंस इस तरह की हैं? क्योंकि यूएसए का लेग तो अब ख़त्म हो गया, अब सारे गेम्स वेस्ट इंडीज़ में आ गए हैं, बट फिर भी ओपनर्स उस तरह से जो है वो यूटिलाइज नहीं कर पा रहे पावर प्ले को.
रोहा, सबसे पहले तो अगर आप बात करें नेपाल की तो ये उनका लर्निंग फेज़ है. इंटरनेशनल स्टेज, आईसीसी इवेंट के अंदर रिप्रेजेंटेशन, पार्टिसिपेशन, और इनके जितने प्लेयर हैं ये इनको बहुत ज़्यादा सीखने को मिलेगा. नंबर 1 तो ये तो एक पॉजिटिव साइन है कि इन्होंने जो 2 मैच खेले, आई एम रियली इम्प्रेस्ड. एक तो साउथ अफ्रीका वाला मैच जीतना चाहिए था इनको, लेकिन ये नहीं जीत सके, लेकिन स्पिरिटेड परफॉर्मेंस थी, बहुत शानदार परफॉर्मेंस थी. आज के मैच में भी ये जो हमने देखा है, इसमें भी अगर आप जाएँ तो इन्होंने बांग्लादेश को मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम मुश्किल हालात में रखा और अपना कंट्रोल रखा गेम के ऊपर. देखें, जब ऐसे जगहों पे आप एक एमेच्योर टीम के तौर पर, या ऐसी टीम जो भी लर्निंग फेज़ में होती है या जिनका इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट इतनी स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं हुई होती, उनके लिए इस तरह के टफ़ सिचुएशन के अंदर, टफ़ कंडीशंस के अंदर परफॉर्म करना और उसको जीतना, ये एक लर्निंग फेज़ है, एकदम से नहीं आएगा. तो मेरा ख्याल है कि ओवरऑल दे शुड बी हैप्पी, दे शुड बी वेरी प्राउड ऑफ देमसेल्व्स एज ए टीम. जिस तरीके से उन्होंने ये टूर्नामेंट खेला, दे प्लेड बेटर क्रिकेट दैन मैनी ऑफ द जायंट्स ऑफ द गेम. अगर आप इस फूल में अगर जाएं तो मेरे ख्याल में ज़्यादा स्पिरिटेड जो क्रिकेट थी वो नेपाल ने खेली है, ना कि श्रीलंका ने. श्रीलंका लुक लाइक दे वर हैविंग नो आइडिया कि वो आए किस लिए हो. एक वजह होती है ना आपके आने की. जैसे पाकिस्तान की अगर हम बात करें तो पाकिस्तान से हम ये एक्सपेक्ट नहीं करते थे, जिस तरह टूटी हुई बिखरी हुई टीम हमें नज़र आई. ये वो मसाइल हैं जो आपको, जब आप बहुत बड़े हो जाते हैं ना, जब बहुत बड़े हो जाते हैं तो फिर ऐसे मसाइल आते हैं. अब ये बड़े नहीं हैं, इनके पास बड़ा एक्सपोजर नहीं है, लेकिन इनकी जो स्पिरिट है टू रिप्रेजेंट द कंट्री, जो फ़ैन फॉलोइंग इनके पीछे, जो पुश मिलता है इनको, इन्होंने अपना आउट ऑफ द स्किन जाके जो है वो परफॉर्मेंस दी है, क्योंकि इनको पता था कि यही स्टेज इनको बार बार नहीं मिलनी. तो जब ये हंगर और वो जो डिटर्मिनेशन है वो मुझे नेपाल की टीम में नज़र आई. और आई थिंक कि अगर मैं बात करूँ नीदरलैंड की, तो उनसे भी बेहतर ये क्रिकेट खेले. तो हार जीत मुझे कोई मैटर नहीं करता, बट दिस टूर्नामेंट परफॉर्मेंसेज सो फार विल गिव देम अ ग्रेट बूस्ट एज ए टीम. और इनकी जो मैनेजमेंट बैक होम होगी वो इसको बड़ा पॉजिटिव ले और मज़ीद फैसिलिटेट करे नेपाल को, आईसीसी मज़ीद फैसिलिटेट करे नेपाल को, या इन जैसी और जो टीम्स हमने देखी हैं जिन्होंने अच्छा परफॉर्म किया इस टूर्नामेंट में. जितना ज़्यादा अपॉर्चुनिटी मिलेगी, जैसे आयरलैंड इज़ टोटली अंडर परफॉर्म, सबसे ज़्यादा मोस्ट एक्सपीरियंस टीम हो के भी हमें वो चीज़, वो जो एक टीम यूनिटी या एक टीम लड़ते हुए नज़र आनी चाहिए, वो नहीं नज़र आई. पाकिस्तान के भी इशूज़ रहे, श्रीलंका के इशूज़ रहे, इसलिए ये बाहर हुए हैं. ये टीम, मैं ये समझता हूँ कि इन्होंने जिस तरीके से पूरा शो जैसे वर्ल्ड कप खेला, इनका बहुत शानदार फ्यूचर नज़र आ रहा है. इनको जितनी ज़्यादा एक्सपोजर मिलेगा, जितना ज़्यादा इनकी लुक आफ्टर की जाएगी, जितना ज़्यादा इनको प्रोफेशनल वे में डील किया जाएगा, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर डेवलपमेंट की जाएगी, आप देखिएगा कि अगले 5 सालों में, 8 सालों में ये अच्छी जगह पे खड़े होंगे.
But because it's Eid Day, we'll not talk about Pakistan's performance in this World Cup. I just want to have one day where there's no stress in this studio.
Please.
We can just have a normal discussion about the teams that are still in the running.
Sure, but I think exactly what you said, Hafiz. I hope that the Nepalese cricket fans and the team alike are so incredibly buoyed by the success that they've had. The scoreboard is not an apt representation of just how far they've pushed some really quality sides, and we can see the impact that the work that they've done in Nepalese cricket has done. They're well and truly arrived on the international stage now, and they've got some performances they should be really proud of from some different names that we're not used to seeing from Nepalese cricket as well, knowing that Sandeep Lambachani missed a number of those games early on. So well done, Nepal. Such a wonderful effort. You've got some of the best fans going around, and I just know, based on this performance, that this is not the end for Nepalese cricket. This is just the beginning, and we so hope that this experience has really encouraged you all to reach for bigger and greater heights, because there's just so much potential there within your ranks. Which brings us to Bangladesh, a side that is threatened for so many years with all the potential in the world, but unable to sort of extricate the right performances at the right times in the pressure tournaments of ICC competitions. So to know that they've now defended, Guppy, the lowest ever total in an ICC T20 World Cup, 106, as we take a little look at that graphic there, successfully defended, top of that scoreboard there. South Africa, look at the number of titles though that have been defended in 2024, goes to show how tricky the wickets have been in this edition. But to know that they now have the performers within their side, we talk about scoreboard pressure when you're batting first, but lack of scoreboard pressure is as much a pressure when it comes to trying to bowl a side out. But when you've got Tanzim Hassan 4 for 7 with the new ball for Bangladesh, let's relive the innings that he performed with the ball early on. I mean, you're behind the 8 ball from ball 1, and you feel like you could defend absolutely anything if you've got him on your side.
Yeah, just on the whole Bangladesh as a whole, like, just remember they knocked England out of the 2015 World Cup. So they have got the talent. They've had the talent for a long time. They just haven't been able to put it together. But Tanzim has been really impressive this World Cup. He's got great rhythm. He's got the ball on a string. He's got a bit about him too. He was in. I saw a clip online today that he was getting up in the Nepalese batter's face, having a bit of a staring contest, and then a few words as well.
Spice going on as well.
Yeah, maybe got a little bit lucky with a couple of those wickets there. The short and wides, one hit straight to point. But as I said yesterday, that's cricket. That's the way it can go sometimes. But he's just hitting the same area, same length, letting the pitch do the rest of the work, and just keeping it really simple. He's obviously got some great advice. I know their bowling coach very, very well, and Andre Adams. I played a lot of cricket with him, and he was a phenomenal bowler. So he's got some really good guidance in behind him, and he's reaping the rewards for that. So it's really impressive to see.
And just on Andre Adams, just before we head to the next star performer with the ball, what kind of a person is he, and what would he be bringing to the side? Because we're seeing a lot of international coaches now that are working with different teams all over the world. Obviously Pakistan with Gary Kirsten as well. Yeah. People are looking for answers from people that they haven't had experience from before. What kind of a coach is he? And obviously what he's doing is absolutely working a treat with the Bangladeshi bowlers.
Yeah, well, let's not forget how good a bowler he was first. He's got all that experience playing for Auckland. He only ever played one test match for New Zealand. Possibly could have played more, wasn't to be. But then he played, I can't even count how many years. He played for Nottinghamshire, then went to Hampshire, went back to Notts to finish his career. So, he's got all that experience of playing pretty much all year round.
A lot of domestic cricket.
A lot of domestic cricket, learning his craft, learning his trade, and he was one of the worst bowlers to face in the middle, because he didn't have a very big run-up, but he was shoulder bowler, and if you got on his wrong side, things just started to come out about 5 to 10 k's quicker, and he could really get that ball up here, but just would be always there or thereabouts around the off stump, shape it away, nip it back, and he's either got you bowled or hit right in the front of the stump. So you're a really tough bowler, but all of that experience, he's got all of that knowledge, and he's just imparting it onto these the Bangladeshi bowlers. And he's not only going to have a plan A, but there'll be a plan B and a plan C for if things go wrong, which doesn't look like they're needing at the moment. So, look, he's bringing such a, and he was a bowling coach at Auckland for a while, and from there he's gone on to coach in the Big Bash. He's coached New South Wales. He's got all this extra experience under his belt before going on to coach the Bangladeshis. So he's learned his trade, this new trade that he's got going, and it's really going well.
He knows the culture as well, that different kind of,
Absolutely, he's been learning all through, and he's done a great job so far. I'm not sure how long his contract is, but you know, under
But they
him,
need him.
Well, they do need him, yeah, and they're
Hold
playing
on
so
for
well
dear
under
life.
him.
I think,
And
by the
especially
sounds of it.
if your team's struggling with the fast bowlers, so they need him. badly.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the way that Tuscan's come on in the last couple of years, and Andre can only make him better. I faced him throughout my career. You know, and the last time I faced him, he looked like he felt like he put on a bit of pace, and he also had better control than what he did when he was younger. So Andre can only make him a better bowler in my eyes.
You know, some of the teams in this World Cup, they took the right decisions to induct some of the management staff within themselves, because if you see, talking about and Andre at the moment, then I talked earlier about Mushtaq Ahmed in a Bangladesh team, because the leg spinner was always a missing part, and they brought someone who can guide that guy in a right possible way. And then if you go around some of the teams like Afghanistan is taking the I think
Jonathan Trott, head coach.
Jonathan Trott is a coach, but the bowling coach from with the conditional help.
Yeah, he's playing for
DJ Bravo is there to helping them. Pollard is with the England team. So you know, some of the teams, whoever took that right decision to induct some of the to take a conditional help, or whoever can help in that particular tournament, because these tournaments give a great impact to the whole generation. Because you never wanted to have a bad tournament, ICC tournament, because it can take the fans away from you. So I think most of the managements, most of the cricket boards made a right decision, and they brought some of the right people induct into this tournament, and they're making the difference at the moment.
Well, a very clinical and compelling performance from Bangladesh to secure their place in the Super 8. हम बात करें उनके bowling performance की, once again their bowlers stepped up, और इस World Cup में back-to-back bowling figures अगर हम देखें, bowlers have been doing spectacularly well. Every single match we are seeing some of the best spells we have seen in the T20 format, and once again Bangladesh की तरफ से वो bowling effort हमने देखने को मिला, not just from the spinners, but this time it's the pacers who are also doing the job, as with of course Afghanistan में भी हमने देखा. तो एक अच्छा shift आ रहा है, हर team अपने strengths को test कर रही है, they're putting all of their bowlers to use. यहाँ पे break लेते हैं. When we come back, we will of course talk a bit more about the Super 8s, because a lot to build up on. Don't go anywhere. Keep watching. Vantage Developers presents Game On.
A very warm welcome back to Vantage Developers presents Game On Hair. Of course, we are your one-stop shop for all of the action of the ICC T20 Men's World Cup, bringing it you closer to the action that's happening all the way in America and, of course, the Caribbean. And we turn our attention to the Caribbean for our match, which starts at 7:30 p.m. local time tonight. Well, New Zealand, not the performance we're used to seeing from the All Blacks, but they're going to be up against the might of the PNG, an associate nation that's been doing a wonderful job at trying to make their claim on the international world stage. And that match is going to be contested at the Sir Brian Lara Cricket Stadium in Trinidad and Tobago, Roja. Big match today. The Black Caps, they're going to want to end their tournament on a high. It has been a difficult tournament for them, but you know, the PNG, they've come out firing, they've given it their absolute all, but you'd have to think that perhaps it would just be too difficult up against a quality side like the Black Caps today. Let's remind ourselves though of what our Super 8 groups are. We already know for each of our teams now who will be going through to the all-important Super 8s. And we can now tell you that Group 1 will contain Afghanistan, Australia, Bangladesh and India. Interesting looking battle, that one. And then Group 2, England, South Africa, USA and the West Indies. Yunus Khan, which is the stronger group?
It's looked like Group A for me.
Yeah, tough ask, isn't it?
Ask that.
Really tough ask to have the likes of Afghanistan.
But it should be like that. It should be like that because they are in Super 8, so they should be like that, and they will have more experience like that. There's no associate team. Only the US is there. But I hope they will have more experience, and when the top teams and especially the top players, they are watching or they're playing against them, so they will learn a lot of experience from them too.
And Afghanistan, I mean, how good have they been in this edition of the tournament, Roja? I had them in my top 4, which now means that I have to leave Australia or India also out of my top 4. So I'm a little bit torn at the moment. Where's your brain headed when you see that?
I think we're yet to see the best of Afghanistan in this World Cup. Of course, we've seen what their bowlers are doing, but I think the batters, that top order, you know, that opening stand that we have seen in a couple of matches, and then their all-rounders coming up and taking that responsibility. I'm excited about what will happen, and I can't wait to see that match between Afghanistan and West Indies. I mean, it's going to bring a lot of excitement for all their fans, because both these teams have sort of come out of a place where people have been doubting their international skills and how well they do in some conditions. So I think a lot will be at stake, and especially now moving forward, Afghanistan are yet to give their best performance. But I can't wait to see what happens, because you've been asking about my top 4. Of course, my top 4 did have Pakistan. But anyway, let's move forward and not touch that nerve today.
बात क्यों हुई थी?
You try to judge Pakistan, but
दिल में आ जाता है ख्याल
नहीं तो ससी के लिए थे तानु नाराज मैं जब मैं पाकिस्तान के मुतालिक बात की आपने कहा जी आज पाकिस्तान की गाली
आप अब्दुल्ला है ना फिर
no more talk on Pakistan.
No talk
on Pakistan. It is the first
हम रह नहीं सकते.
Please.
We shall not talk about.
लेकिन एक गल होनी
You keep bringing it up, Roha. You keep bringing Pakistan up.
She asked me about my top 4.
She asked me not to talk about Pakistan cricket anymore.
And now she's
she
bringing
came
it up.
I was just answering Erin. She asked me about my top 4. Forgot about the commitment today, guys. Let's move on.
Don't cry.
It's okay. One of us still in the studio has a team still in this race, so at least I'll be turning up for work tomorrow. I'm not so sure about everyone else in here.
But coming back to today's game, of course, Martin, New Zealand, of course, not up to the mark as well in this World Cup. But let's talk about Trent Bolt, who announced that he would be playing his last T20 World Cup, saying farewell to the format, I assume. But what will you say on his contributions? We can have a little look at what he has done for New Zealand in T20 IS, 60 matches and 81 wickets to his name, with an economy of 7.7. Across formats, of course, we've seen what he can do, but what will you say on his impact in the shorter format?
Yeah, I assume that will probably be his last game for New Zealand tonight in his career. He's been such a great servant to New Zealand cricket. He played his first Test match back in 2011. I alluded to the other night. His first tour with New Zealand, on the other hand, was in 2009 to Australia. Didn't play on that trip, but got his first couple of games, a couple of years later. But the way he's been able to keep his body in such good nick, be fit enough to carry the workload that he's been able to get through, and the skills that he's picked up along the way is second to none. I mean, he'll go down as one of the greatest left-arm swing bowlers to have played the game. It's just a pity we don't play as much Test cricket as other nations, because he could have had an even better record than what he already has, and it's pretty impressive the way it stands. So, look, he'll be one of the best bowlers New Zealand's ever produced, and he could have been a better batter if he wasn't so scared of the ball. Didn't want to get above
Especially
that number 11. He's only done that because he's scared of getting hit, and the ball's coming down pretty quick. So, but no, look, he has been a great servant to New Zealand cricket. I predict that he's got a few other gigs lined up around the world there. He doesn't have to, spend as much time away from home, and then probably get paid some pretty decent cash for it as well. And look, he'll continue on to play a bit over the next few years, and then see where his sort of career takes him after that.
And that's one thing as well to be mindful of when we talk about the big superpowers of cricket around the world, and New Zealand has long punched well above their weight considering their resources, the size of the country. Like, it's only 4 million people that live in this tiny little island that most people think is part of Australia for the most part a lot of the time, I think. And the way that he's balanced his responsibilities by still being loyal to his country and his international side, while still managing to make a living to the best of his ability with all the freelance competitions in the world, you're in a similar position too when you are balancing the both to such good respect. He's done such a good job for such a long time, and Hafiz, I mean, I'm sure you've faced him many a time in your career as well. He's a scary prospect with a new ball, and it'll be a big loss for the New Zealand side that he is taking this option now, but he's done a wonderful service to his country. And what were your impressions on him as a player?
Well, no doubt, as a left-arm fast bowler, as an opener facing him all the time, you need to have a very strong defense. Otherwise, he can expose your technique because of his skills, because he does swing the ball both ways. So I had a very fond memories with him, because whenever we played against him, he's a great competitor. He used to represent his country with his all energy, and it was always nice to have such a nice guy. He never went out of the spirit of the game, because I seen him doing everything right according to the game of cricket. Because sometimes you see a character, for a win they do everything. I am sorry to say, but the Aussie way is always just they want to win. But this guy, to be honest, when you play against New Zealand team, they always play with the right spirit of the game, with the right gentleman game when you talk about. So they always present themselves in the best possible way, and he is one of those. And I'm a bit shocked, to be honest. I wanted him to play a couple of more years, which I feel he has. But you know, it's not his fault, because most of the international parallel option, I'm talking about international leagues around the world, we have seen that it's happening from the last many years. If you talk to me like Adam Gilchrist, to me could easily play for Australia for a couple of more years, but he thought like it's a time for him to go away. But as a fan of cricket, we wanted to have these guys to play more international cricket for their countries, and it really give a great joy to watch them when they do well.
There'll be so many kids all around New Zealand that picked up a ball just wanting to bowl fast like Trent Bolt. So he will be sorely missed in the New Zealand side, and I'm sure he'll be taking a few polls with him before he does depart from that team. But bowling has not been the issue for New Zealand. If we try and unpack exactly where their campaign has gone wrong, it's been a lack of runs with the bat, Eunice. So we've got a little graphic here which just supports this idea, this notion that we've had, and it shows that in the 3 matches that New Zealand have played, they're amongst the lowest batting averages in the ICC T20 World Cup. So we're looking at an average of only 11.45 at a strike rate of 93, so less than a run a ball. Martin, you've got a bit of a sad look on your face. Gentlemen, your first thoughts when you see that graphic, it's not the New Zealand that we know and love, particularly with how much experience and class they have with the bat. Just a matter of not adjusting to conditions quickly enough, or
normally
what do you think?
We know about Team New Zealand. They just switch on the first day, and this time they were not. I don't know what was the reason. Maybe they are not playing each other for for longer time. But no, normally we know that New Zealand play as a team. They know what kind of condition they have to face. They know what should be their team. But this time they have clueless. So I think that was the reason, and that's why they are not in Super 8.
Do you have any further insight seeing that, Marty?
Yeah, I guess they just look rusty right from the outset. They didn't have any warm-up games to start the tournament. They hadn't played together for 2 or 3 months as a unit, and they had guys who hadn't played for sort of 3 or 4 months through injury and things like that. So they just looked very rusty, very underdone, and it showed in their performance. I mean, a batting average of 11, it's not going to win you too many games, let alone a World Cup. So look, I think that's just where they got wrong. The bowling hasn't been too bad. Obviously against Afghanistan, they couldn't make the breakthrough early. A few drop catches in the field, which is very unlike New Zealand. We usually pride ourselves on how well we field, and that's a way that you can keep yourselves in the game if the bowling's not going the way you want. As fielders are always engaged.
Both of the games when they are playing against Afghanistan and then the West Indies, they were in a good shape somewhere in the halfway, but then they just
fell away. I mean, obviously not being there, I can't really say too much. I'm not really sure what's going on, but look, just from the outside, it just didn't look good enough. They weren't up for the challenge, and they're on the plane home tomorrow morning.
And we've talked at length about what's next, of course, for Pakistan cricket. We've talked at length about what the problems are. But speaking of this New Zealand side, I mean, I know we've discussed this in their last game as well, but what are your impressions of what will the short-term and medium-term changes be as far as this side is concerned? Because people back home aren't happy, the media I'm sure isn't happy. What's the narrative like, and what do you assume will be happening in the next few months?
I haven't read too much, but the little bits that I have seen are people want Kane to give up the captaincy and let him just bat. Whether that's the right answer, I'm not sure. Obviously, Tim Southee's the current Test captain. Not sure how long he's going to be around for. I'm not sure what his plans are, but we still have cricket to come up. I'm not sure what's next for them, but there's still cricket coming up. They still need to play, and whatever the coaching staff and the selectors want to do, they need to make that decision early.
But do you think a change in captaincy is what New Zealand need right now?
I look at that list, and I think the only person that you can sort of make captain is probably Tim Southee. And that would be my pick for it. Obviously Mitchell Satner's had a bit of exposure to it as well. Whether he would be one for the future, I'm not sure what they want to do. It's a tough one because there's quite a few. I mean, in the squad there's 11 people over 30, whether they want to go start breeding younger players into the team, you know, that's for us to find out in the near future, I guess.
But let me raise one thing on this, what Martin said, like, you know, playing together, is that happened by default or by choice? Because there were some games New Zealand can play together, but they left national duty and they went to play IPL. So they basically made a choice not to play together, and then gel together or came together in a World Cup stage. They never wanted to play the warm-up games before. So it's everything happened by choice. So there was a choice, you can play the warm-up games. Pakistan said we don't want to play because we're playing in England. So it's not by default or by design, it's basically by choice.
Yeah, they have left themselves short in that respect. I feel like they probably should have played, even if it was a situation like Australia had where a couple of the support staff had to have gone on the field to field, make up numbers. It's absolutely fine. It's not an official T20 match, so guys could have batted twice, you know, guys could have bowled more overs.
So, similar, New Zealand came here with the B side, or the side who had not been able to make their way into the straight ICC event. But most of the senior guys, they were not available for the national squad, and they went to play international league around the world. So I'm saying you cannot make excuse of any of the team, like they were not been given enough chances before the World Cup to prepare themselves well. By choice, they wanted not to have a game together. So I think it's somewhere we need to understand the people are taking more interest into international league rather than representing your own country.
And I think that combined with these absolutely unfamiliar conditions, it's just taken a bit of teams by surprise, and they just couldn't recover from that.
And you really lofty standards, to be very fair. New Zealand has been so good and so consistent for such a long time. This is the format of the game where upsets do happen. So unfortunate that a couple of big sides are not going to make it into the Super 8s this year, but it is a lot of food for thought on a much bigger issue that is affecting cricket. As we know it, the landscape is literally changing day by day. So we could discuss it for hours on end, and we will continue to discuss it on the other side of this very short break here on Vantage Developers presents Game on Hair. Of course, we are leading up to ball one of New Zealand taking on PNG all the way over in the Caribbean. We've got live action, including toss, playing 11, you name it, on the other side. See you shortly.
Welcome back to Vantage Developers presents Game On Here. We're building up to New Zealand versus PNG. Just in a short while, toss bhi aayega, pitch report, playing 11. All of that will be made available as soon as we have those live visuals coming in. But of course, once again, a very Eid Mubarak. बहुत wishes हम सब की तरफ से PTV Sports की पूरी family Game On है पूरे PTV network की तरफ से आप सभी को ईद मुबारक। और आप लोगों ने ट्यून इन किया once again, उसके लिए भी बहुत शुक्रिया। लाइव विजुअल्स भी आपको हम दिखा रहे हैं फ्रॉम द ग्राउंड। थोड़ा सा जो है इस वक्त क्लाउड कवर हमें नज़र आ रहा है, बट होपफुली वी विल हैव अ टॉस जस्ट इन टाइम। इस वक्त काफ़ी लोग भी हैं, सारे ऑफिशियल्स एंड ऑफ कोर्स बोथ द टीम्स. But how stunning does that look, Erin? Can't wait to get a full game in once again.
Absolutely gorgeous. This is the Sir Brian Lara Cricket Academy. The great man, the Prince himself, has his own stadium. Why not? He is the Prince of Trinidad, as we like to call him. It looks like he told the rain to stay away. I didn't see any covers there, which was fantastic. Everyone out on the field, so fingers crossed we're going to get an on-time toss and hopefully a good spectacle between PNG and the Black Caps.
I mean, like even yesterday we saw a game that didn't have a lot of relevance in terms of this World Cup, and once again we know even this game doesn't have much relevance as far as that points table goes, but still both these teams will want to finish on a high, especially New Zealand. And with that, I'm going to come to you, Yunus Khan. We have spoken a lot about New Zealand कि उनकी इस कैंपेन में क्या क्या गलतियां हुई, हमने उनकी बॉलिंग के बारे में भी बात की, बट बैटिंग में अगर हम उनके की प्लेयर को देखें, केन विलियमसन, जिनके ऊपर इस वक्त जाहिर है अभी बहुत प्रेशर है, बट इफ वी सी हिज स्टैट्स एज अ कैप्टन फॉर न्यू जीलैंड, उनका जितना एक्सपीरियंस है नॉट जस्ट इन टर्म्स ऑफ कैप्टनसी, अगर आप अपने स्क्रीन पे देखें मोस्ट मैचेस एज अ कैप्टन 74 गेम्स ही हैज़ लेड न्यू जीलैंड एंड दैट विन परसेंटेज इज 52%. एक तो ये बात हो गई कि एज अ कैप्टन इनका जो एक्सपीरियंस है फॉर न्यू जीलैंड वो बहुत अनपैरेलल्ड है, बट दूसरी तरफ जो इनका ICC इवेंट्स में सक्सेस रेट रहा है, हमने बार बार ये बात की है कि पिछले 6-7 जो ICC एडिशंस हैं न्यूजीलैंड ने हमेशा सेमीफाइनल या फाइनल के लिए जो है क्वालिफाई किया है, या देव ऑलवेज qualified for that next round and never had an early exit. ये कितनी बड़ी एक करियर की लेगेसी होती है एज अ कैप्टन कि आपने बार बार टीम को डीप एंड तक टूर्नामेंट के पहुंचाया और हर किस्म की कंडीशंस में उन्होंने ये किया है।
बिल्कुल ऐसा ही है, देखें अब क्योंकि आप हमें पता है कि ये मैच विनर है और अपने आप को रिवॉल्व कर सकते हैं और उन्होंने किया भी, लेकिन देखिए बात असल में कि एक जैसे अभी विराट कोहली हैं, उन्होंने ओपनिंग शुरू की, थोड़ा सा स्ट्रगल किया उन्होंने, तो केन विलियमसन का भी यही है क्योंकि उनकी नंबर भी शफर हुई और फिर बात जब होती है कि क्या ये इनकी प्लेस बनती है नहीं बनती है, और अगर प्लेस बनती है तो वो कौन सी जगह इनको बैटिंग करनी है, वो कौन सी पोजीशन पे खेलना है। तो जब इस तरह होता है तो जाहिर सी बात है कि अगर आप एज ए मिडिल ऑर्डर बैटर खेल रहे हो या एज ए टॉप ऑर्डर खेल रहे हो और जब आप फिर मिडिल ऑर्डर में जाते हो, इसी तरह मिडिल ऑर्डर से आप ऊपर जाते हो तो थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम्स होते हैं। तो ये फॉर सम हाउ आपके माइंड में ये होता है, तो हमें भी यही नज़र है। लेकिन एज ए लीडर उनकी लेगेसी आपके सामने है। जितने भी हम पास में जितने भी ICC के इवेंट्स देखते हैं तो उसमें हमेशा कहीं ना कहीं टॉप 4 में वो ज़रूर होती है, जैसे पाकिस्तान थी इससे पहले। तो ये एक लेगेसी तो है उनकी, लेकिन फॉर सम हाउ जैसे हमने बार बार बात की कि न्यूजीलैंड की कि वो क्या पिंक पॉइंट्स थे, मेन पॉइंट्स थे जिसकी वजह से टीम आज यहाँ नहीं पहुँच सकी, तो मेरे ख्याल से इस दफ़ा वो मिस कर गए। हमें पता है कि टीम न्यूजीलैंड खेलती है एज अ कंबाइन यूनिट खेलती है, उनके बैटर्स अब ऑन कोई ना कोई एक आधा बैटर होता है जो कि जब टाइम ज़रूरत पड़ती है तो वो परफॉर्म करते हैं, इसी तरह राउंडर्स उनके पास हैं, इसी तरह एक फील्डिंग यूनिट बहुत अच्छी है। लेकिन मुझे लगता है कि इस दफ़ा वो ये पॉइंट मिस कर गए और मेरे ख्याल से वो लर्न करेंगे। लेकिन जो हम ये उनके मतलब कि बात कर रहे हैं ना कि अभी शॉर्ट टर्म गोल्स क्या है और लॉन्ग टर्म गोल्स क्या है, तो ऐसी टीमें वेल प्रिपेयर होती हैं। आप देखिएगा जैसे ही वापस जाएंगे इनका फ़ौरन शॉर्ट टर्म आप गोल आ जाएगा, प्लान आ जाएगा, उसके बाद इनका लॉन्ग टर्म
ये हमने अभी ब्रेक से पहले भी बात की थी। बट मार्टिन, व्हाट आर योर थॉट्स ऑन केन विलियमसन एज अ कैप्टन? यू प्लेड अ लॉट अंडर हिम एंड यू probably you have those insights playing under him as a player. You know, his number has also been shuffled a lot in that batting order across formats. But as a captain, how spectacular has he been, especially in those big tournaments?
Yeah, he's been great. It's not only his captaincy, but his batting has really flourished while he's had the captain's armband on as well. So, you know, it's a bit of a two-pronged thing. He's always there or thereabouts in the field, helping the bowlers. You know, little subtle changes here and there when they need. If they want to use their plan B, you know, he's always engaged with his bowlers and his fielders as to where he wants the field to be. So, and tactically he's very good as well, and he's only grown in that role. So, look, he's been fantastic for New Zealand. Great batter as well, and you know he'll go down as one of the best that New Zealand's ever had.
He's certainly been an absolute revelation for the Kiwis for such a long time, and he's been in and out of the side with injury, but every time he's back he's leading the side and doing it so brilliantly as a captain. But we talk about this being a dead rubber today, Roha, but Hafiz, I'm very sure there are going to be 11 PNG players that absolutely don't think this is a dead rubber. This is a chance to perform on the world stage. This is a chance to put PNG cricket on the map. Every time they play, they're getting better and better, and this is such a huge opportunity for them to be a part of a T20 World Cup. You know, what will be going through their minds today, do you think? Just how special is this as an associate nation to get the opportunity to show your stuff on the biggest stage?
No, as we mentioned earlier regarding Nepal, PNG also shown that glimpse of excellence in the first game they played against West Indies. Obviously, they couldn't win the game, but at least there were some of the highlighted areas of the game where they performed well. So, I think today again it's a great opportunity for all the players who will participate in this, and even if they will not participate, they will learn how the grades of the game play and how they prepare themselves. So, I think as a team they must have learned a lot from this tournament. Yes, they couldn't make it to the next round, but at least the participation was good, and they must have learned a great understanding of the game, how they can develop themselves as a better player.
Some incredible raw talent amongst their ranks, and of course they've also invested in international coaches, the likes of Phil Simmons, who was Karachi Kings coach this year, Nathan Reardon, who played for Australia, a wonderful batter in his time. Plenty of opportunities for the PNG guys to put on a show today. But before we get to all the live action, it's about time we had a few quizzes, because I think I'm a little bit hungry, Roha. I think Cheesiest is calling my name, and I want you to win a family deal for yourself to enjoy the cricket with. So our question today is as follows to win that family deal. Who took the most wickets in the T20 World Cup in 2022? To answer, all you have to do is simply call us that number on your screen right there, and that cheesy deliciousness from Cheesiest could be coming your way.
That's not all we're giving away. आज ईद का मौका है तो एक और बड़ा प्राइज हमारे स्पॉन्सर्स ने आपके लिए जो है हम भेजा है, और अगर आप इस सवाल का सही जवाब दें यू कैन विन अ प्लॉट इन ब्लू वर्ल्ड सिटी। आज का ब्लू वर्ल्ड सिटी का सवाल जो है वो अब आपकी स्क्रीन पे है। What is Mohammad Hafiz's win-loss record as captain in T20 internationals? अगर आपको इसका जवाब आता है आप प्लॉट जीत सकते हैं। Just go to Facebook page of Blue World City and give in your answers.
Are you someone who knows that off the top of your head,
I really
Hafiz?
have no idea.
Okay.
Must be good.
Must be good.
Must be good. That's all we're saying.
I know that.
That's all the hint we're giving you right now. But do you know, like, do you all have memories of your stats? Like, have you memorized some of your interesting
You're a bit of a stats guy, Guffey.
trivia?
You know
bit.
a lot.
Little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
right.
coy. So coy.
Wonderful, wonderful. But I think as it's Eid day, gentlemen, कुछ ही देर में अब टॉस भी हम देखेंगे. But let's talk about Eid. How do you spend Eid when you're at home with your family?
रोहा, हमेशा से ये एक ऐसा खूबसूरत दिन है कि आप चाहते हैं आप अपनी फैमिली के साथ हों, लेकिन प्रोफेशनल कमिटमेंट की वजह से हमने अपने सालों में अपनी ज़िंदगी की बहुत सी ईदें जो हैं वो बाहर गुजारी। तो ये ऑब्वियसली वो मिस दैट, और जो भी प्रोफेशनल जब भी अपने किसी काम पे हो तो अपना ये इवेंट अगर वो ना आए अपने घर वालों के साथ, बच्चों के साथ, तो वो मिस तो करता है। लेकिन विद द सेम टाइम जब भी हम इकट्ठे होते हैं तो बहुत ज़्यादा इंजॉय करते हैं फैमिली के साथ, बच्चों के साथ, और कोशिश करते हैं कि इस दिन के अंदर जो भी मैक्सिमम हैप्पीनेस हम आपस में शेयर कर सकते हैं वो की जाए।
यूनुस, what about
बिल्कुल
you?
ऐसी है। देखिए मैं तो आज भी कोशिश करता हूँ जैसे क्योंकि मैं मर्दान से हूँ और जो हमारी फैमिली ट्रेडिशंस हैं कि जाते हैं लोग हमारे घर पे आते हैं, कज़न्स आते हैं, और अब तो ये कि क्योंकि अब सबकी शादियाँ हो चुकी है बहनों भाइयों की, तो अभी भी कोशिश करते हैं कि उनके पास जाएं, वो हमारे पास। ठीक है मैं कराची में होता हूँ, वो बाज़ मर्दान में होते हैं, पेशावर में, लेकिन कोशिश यही करते हैं कि उनके साथ राब्ते में रहें, और जिस तरह बड़ी ईद होती है तो कुर्बानी हम साथ करें।
आपके बच्चे कुर्बानी में वैसे इंटरेस्ट लेते
बिल्कुल
हैं,
लेते हैं, बिल्कुल
या
लेते हैं,
डरे
बिल्कुल।
रहते हैं?
नहीं बिल्कुल लेते हैं, क्योंकि हमारी तो ट्रेडिशन है। हम खुद भी अभी भी कोशिश करते हैं कि खुद ही कुर्बानी करें, और जैसे कज़न इकट्ठे हो गए, भाई बहन इकट्ठे हो गए, तो हम आज भी एग्जैक्टली वही ट्रेडिशन है जैसे हमारी पहले थी।
I'm just blown away by how you celebrate in this country. Everyone is so family orientated. It's all about spending time with friends and family. It's just a wonderful time to be here and experience it in Pakistan. I know Martin and I feeling pretty lucky to be here. And
What do you
with
do
all.
usually on a day off at home when it's a big holiday?
Oh, I don't really get too many days off, to be fair, at this point. And I actually live in a different city to my husband a lot
And
of
I'm
the
sure
time.
you gave a
so-
good head massage to Ben.
Rub my foot, babe. No, I'm joking. It's nice just to spend time with friends and family. You don't get to do a lot of that being a travelling, touring presenter these days. So just any time you can spend with your loved ones at the beach.
That's what
in
Hafiz was
Australia.
also talking about, being a professional, being in this field. Marty, I'm sure you've also had a lot of holidays spent away from family.
Yep,
What do you
fair
usually
few.
do when you get a chance to spend it together?
Just be together at home, really. We usually have all the family around for lunch or dinner or something with the kids and extended family.
Are you the one cooking mostly, or is it mostly Laura? Just be honest.
Well, when Laura was doing radio last year, it was
Sorry
me,
to
so-
cut you off there, Martin. We do have live visuals coming in from the Brandara Stadium. Looks like we're not going to have a toss at the right time. The covers are being brought on, and that's not good news, especially for the PNG team. As Erin was saying just a while back, a lot depends on this match. Barish, the Barish song,
It's
as Erin
raining.
has
It's raining.
memorized.
Why?
Why is it raining? Q. But yes, Martin, you were saying cooking,
Cooking.
division of labor.
It's now it's more 50-50, but it was a lot of me last year when Laura was doing radio and was home late from work, so I had to make sure that dinner was on the table when she got home.
That's beautiful.
And to be
Wonderful.
fair, Ben does that too. Ben is the cook, Ben is the cleaner. He's the adult
Love
in
that.
our relationship, and I just flit around.
You just show up and eat and
I show up
enjoy
and eat,
and
but
appreciate.
it's a big
And
point though,
especially
isn't it?
wives very happy.
आप बताइए ना,
Happy
how
wife,
is
happy
it?
life.
Same,
Help at
same.
home.
Happy
Same,
wife, happy life,
same,
right?
Same for me.
Anywhere
I just
in
do
the world.
cooking and
What do you
cleaning. I do everything
I
back
have
home.
something to ask on this because I feel like it's a bit of a uniform thing that I hear from these elite sportsmen, right? What it takes to be an elite sportsman is attention to detail, consistency,
Yeah.
application, dedication, doing the same thing that needs to be done to get the job done. So I find it creates quite an OCD mentality in the boys, right? So they like things to be clean and organised in a certain way. They like to be on time. I'm never on time. All these things that make them a good sportsman make them very good. domestically as well.
Yeah,
So Ben gets really annoyed because I don't know how to do it.
It
to
is
that,
true.
you know.
Especially if I've been to the kitchen, I say, why is this thing is here? Why was the cleaning? And because for wife, that is the regular thing. Same like for us, we just go and warm up and then batting and bowling. Sometimes we perform, sometimes we no perform. Same goes to wives too. Sometimes they are perform well, but they are sometimes maybe good.
Maybe not good.
Sometimes maybe not good.
Everyone has an off day. It's fine. It's fine. But you know, one of the biggest things being not only someone who works in this industry and travels around a lot, but being the partner of a player, it's such a hard job sometimes because it is such a crazy industry, a crazy world. Trying to support you guys through the ups and downs of a professional cricket career is not always easy.
Let's hear it for the wives.
Yeah, guys.
Do all the work at home.
And the families that spend a lot of time away from their loved ones. It's not possible to go everywhere in the world as well where you play, and it's not possible to always be together, you know, when children are in school.
Let's ask the all-rounder.
It is the same like, you know, so when we were telling that adaptation. So it is same like understanding too between wife and, you know, the husband. So it is like that.
Hafiz, are you an all-rounder when it comes to, you know, helping around in the house?
I'm strictly not allowed to be in the kitchen, to be very honest.
Okay.
My wife never allowed me to get into the kitchen.
Is there a story or a reason behind that?
Not really. I don't know. Somehow she never wanted me to be a part of a kitchen, and she does everything for me at home. And thanks to her, I never been a part of this. Yes, but I'm a foodie person at home. तो मेरा हमेशा से कोशिश होती है कि अच्छा खाना मिले, वो बेगम मुझे अच्छा बना के देती है. बाकी जो चीज़ें हैं सपोर्ट के लिहाज से, आई ऑलवेज सपोर्ट माई फैमिली, ऑलवेज सपोर्ट द बेस्ट पॉसिबल वे. आई कैन you know, give them everything in alhamdulillah, and there's no complaint so far. In a marriage life we had a great friendship together. We spent a very good time always, but it's really difficult. Earlier it was really tough to understand from the wife because obviously we know like we are not 9 to 5 kind of a job we hold. Sometimes we are at home for a week, for 10 days, and sometimes we are away from the home for 2 months time. So that is tough for the wives obviously to understand, but once it gets that level where they understand each other, then it gets like, you know, a better life together.
And some of the best experiences and the biggest opportunities come with no notice, and you just have to drop everything and rearrange life and just be okay.
You know, other thing worked really very well. मेरे जो card थे, you know, most of my master cards and everything was at a home. That really worked really well.
Keep everybody
it's very
happy.
simple. Happy wife, happy life.
Kept
I'm
it
out of this
simple.
conversation.
That's a very simple formula.
I don't know about you, Aaron.
I don't even have a card to his account. We don't even join account. We're doing it wrong in Australia, I'm telling you.
Guys, but as the toss is delayed, we're going to head towards a very short, I promise, a very, very short break. We'll be back shortly only on Vantage Developers Presents Game On here.
Hello everyone and very warm welcome back to Vantage Developers Presents Game On Here. We were building up to the very first ball of PNG taking on New Zealand, but alas, unfortunately, the Barish is coming down in Trinidad once again, and just as we were ready to get to that live toss, the covers came back on. So once again, another tough day in the office for the many ground staff all around the countries in this T20 World Cup. We've been working overtime to make sure that we get some cricket up and running. Apparently the rain is currently getting heavier, my app tells me at the moment, but we are hoping that in true Caribbean style, that weather will blow in and blow out as fast as it's come, and we will get some play in just a little while. But in fantastic news, before the rain came, we did actually have time to get our pitch report in, so we can tell you what we'll be playing on underneath those covers. And it's my absolute pleasure to throw to that pitch report that's done by Simon Dool and Tom Moody a little earlier today. Boys, what are we playing on?
Well, it's the last of the group games here at the Brian Lara Academy ground in South Trinidad. Looking forward to a nice day. 32 degrees for the players, so relatively pleasant for them. Slight little breeze coming across the ground. That temperature won't change much throughout the morning. That southeasterly wind is still blowing towards what is today the shorter boundary. We have moved pitches. We'll get to that in a moment with Tom Moody. 60 metres away to the point boundary if you're a right-hander standing where I am. 68 to the leg side. 75 downtown, and some decent sized pockets. If you're heading into that corner into the wind, you might have some trouble. Right, surface itself. They've been a bit indifferent, I must say, in the last few games here. Tom Moody is alongside me. Tell us a little bit more about this one. What are you seeing, Tom?
Well, firstly, I noticed when I came out here, Dooley, it's slightly different tone to it. It's a darker colour. So that tells me there's moisture in this surface. So the fast bowlers will welcome when they see that. There's also that covering of grass, which is patchy, particularly around the cracks. You see that sort of real sort of gathering of grass around those cracks. And that tells me there's going to be a little bit of inconsistent bounce, which is what we've seen at this venue. The other thing that we've seen at this venue is a lot of swing, Dooley. Yes, we've had night games, but the ball has swung more at this venue than any other venue in this World Cup. So pace bowlers, again, will welcome bowling this length that we're standing on, which is the 6 metre length.
Doesn't change then from a night game to a day game. Will we see less swing, do you think?
I think possibly, yes. At night time, you obviously have the lights and the atmosphere of the lights, which does encourage swing. And at night time, it seems to be a little bit more humid here. It's hot here and it is humid, but at night time, just a little bit more humid. So therefore, the ball can swing a bit more. But you can guarantee the likes of Bolt and co will be certainly looking to pitch it up and explore that swing.
Gee, that was the pitch report. Looks like it was a bit sunny early on when we saw the pitch report being recorded. Looks like a completely different day, a different game. But that's just Caribbean weather for you. But I'm going to throw it to my guests now, take their opinions on this wicket. Yunus,
it's very simple.
It's
Win
very
the toss,
simple.
ball first.
Ball first.
डैम पिच है, स्विंग हो रही है और बॉलिंग की क्वालिटी अच्छी है न्यूजीलैंड की, तो वो तो बिल्कुल ही चाहेंगे कि टॉस जीत के वो बॉलिंग करें और कंडीशन भी ऐसी कह रही है. लेकिन ये है कि बाज़ वक़्त जब देखते हो कि बारिश हो रही है तो यही बनता है कि इसी तरह का कोई डिसीजन ले जाए. लेकिन ये कि मेरे ख्याल से मैच होना चाहिए, मैच थोड़ा सा लंबा होना चाहिए. ये ना हो कि फिर वही 5-10 ओवर का मैच हो तो फिर उसमें क्या होता है कि उसके बाद दोनों टीमों को
अभी ऑफ हो रहे हैं. So looks like
ये अच्छी बात है.
might get a toss in the next few minutes, hopefully
20 ओवर का मैच होना चाहिए.
That was Mrs. Martin Guptill just there for a few seconds on the screen doing amazing work.
And the happiness on his face.
That's Eid Mubarak for Martin Guptill as well.
Eid Mubarak, Martin.
Well, we're at different corners of the earth here and our kids are at home. It's a strange sort of feeling.
And we just saw Simon Dill, obviously Kiwi pacer, Tom Moody, Aussie legend, who spends a lot of time over in the Caribbean, did a lot of work when CPL first started. He knows a thing or two about the Caribbean conditions, and he thought a bit of swing on offer up first, Marty?
Yeah, I think that's been a trend at that ground. Having played there in the CPL last year as well, there was swing both in the day and night. So, yeah, I mean, if New Zealand win the toss, I think they'll be looking to bowl first, try and knock PNG over pretty quickly, chase the runs down, go back to the hotel, pack the bags and probably have a few drinks and then get on the flight tomorrow.
अभी it's a pretty straightforward decision here. हम टॉस के बारे में बिल्डअप करें, अगर तो जल्द ही टॉस होता है. बट इस पिच पे वो कह रहे थे कि रिलेटिवली ज़्यादा ही मूवमेंट होता है कंपेयर टू द अदर ग्राउंड्स.
नहीं, देखें जो कैरिबियन वेदर और कैरिबियन पिचेस हैं वो हम सब उनसे वाकिफ़ हैं. अगर किसी को नहीं पता था कि वेस्ट इंडीज़ के अंदर बारिश होनी है या वेस्ट इंडीज़ की पिचेस इतनी ज़्यादा मुश्किल होंगी या ग्राफ्टी होंगी, बहुत ज़्यादा बड़े स्कोर नहीं होंगे, तो उसके लिए एक फूलों का गुलदस्ता भेजता हूँ, गेट वेल सून का जो है एक कार्ड भेज देता हूँ. क्योंकि यही हो सकता है, क्योंकि ये तो टेलर मेड कंडीशन है. आप जब भी वेस्ट इंडीज़ में जाएंगे आपको इस तरह की सिचुएशन और कंडीशन के साथ आपने खेलना है. अगर आप इस पिच की बात करें तो मुझे लगता है कि ईजी डिसीजन है, कोई भी टीम टॉस जीतेगी. इवन PNG वुड लाइक टू हैव अ बॉल फर्स्ट. तो अगर ये कंडीशन है तो न्यूजीलैंड के लिए तो और ज़्यादा आसान हो जाएगा.
Right, but we know both these teams are, Professor, out of the tournament. Essentially, on paper, it is a dead rubber. What mindset do you have when approaching a game like that, especially from the stronger team's point of view? New Zealand, how will they be looking at and what can they do in their last dance in this world?
देखें, जब भी आप अपने मुल्क को रिप्रेजेंट करते हैं तो आपके जो स्टेक्स हैं वो बहुत हाई होते हैं. तो रिप्रेजेंटेशन ऑफ अ कंट्री ऑलवेज डिमांड यू टू गिव यू 100% नो मैटर व्हाट गेम यू आर प्लेइंग फॉर. बिकॉज हर वो जो फ़ैन है जो घर में बैठा हुआ है या किसी भी जगह पे वो आपको फॉलो करता है, वो आपकी टीम को इसलिए पसंद करता है कि वो आपके मुल्क का फ़ैन है. तो आपने जब अपने नेशनल कैप ऑन करनी है या नेशनल कलर ऑन करना है तो फिर ये डेड रबर नहीं होता. उसमें आपकी 100% एफर्ट होती है. ईच एंड एवरी सेकंड जो आपने उसके लिए अपनी ड्यूटी देनी है, अपनी सर्विसेज देनी है, उसमें आप किसी भी तरीके से रिलैक्स नहीं हो सकते. तो आई वुड लाइक टू सी कि बोथ टीम वुड ट्राई टू गिव द 100% ताकि आज का मैच अगर वो जीते इट कैन गिव देम अ ग्रेट बूस्टर एज ए टीम. इफ इवन PNG डू समथिंग स्पेशल इन दिस गेम then they can go back at home with the head high. और अगर न्यूजीलैंड ये जीत के भी जाएगा तो obviously ठीक है वो हार गए हैं, लेकिन they never wanted to end up on a losing side.
ऐसे ही है बिल्कुल एग्जैक्टली ये, क्योंकि दोनों के लिए ये अगर PNG की बात करें तो वो तो चाहते ही हैं कि कुछ एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी करें इस मैच में और एक ऐसी विन आप बोर्ड पे लगाएं जो कि हमेशा के लिए याद रहें। और जहाँ तक न्यूजीलैंड की टीम की बात है तो यही चाहेगी कि ठीक है कि उनके जो कैंपेन था वर्ल्ड कप का इतना अच्छा नहीं गया, लेकिन विन करके जाएंगे और परफॉर्मेंस करके जाएंगे तो फ्यूचर के लिए उनके लिए बूस्टअप होगा।
As with any loss as well, Roha, is an opportunity for teams to go back, reassess what didn't go well, unfortunately for them. And New Zealand, for the first time in a little while, they have a few things to think through. And we've got some live visuals coming through from Trinidad at the moment. We can see the match officials are out walking around on the square, just checking how that ground is feeling underhand. Must have been quite a heavy shower, but it's come through thick and fast and then left just as quickly, which is great news. We just had a little glimpse of our World Feed presenters from ICC on there, headed up by Laura McGoldrick. Looked like Danny Morrison as well, our very favourite Danny, who we see in the PSL every year, and a lot of Kiwi influence in the game over there. And Marty, just off the back of what I was saying before we went to those live visuals, an opportunity for New Zealand to reassess, maybe have a little look at their side. I read a little article in the break sort of saying, is it time to move on from Kane Williamson and Tim Southey? Do we look ahead to the next generation of captaincy? There is a Champions Trophy coming though, thick and fast. And then, of course, there's always a World Cup around the corner, the way there's so much cricket on the international calendar now as well. If you were New Zealand, what are you doing to reassess where things are at the moment? Is it time for a fresh face, or is it still sticking with what they know and the wealth of experience that has made them so successful for such a long time?
Well, the beauty about it is I don't have to make that decision. So, no, look, I don't know what the right answer is there. I think there's merit in going both ways. And I don't know what the direction that the team want to go in. So that's up to one that comes from the coach, the CEO, everybody at New Zealand Cricket to sit down and talk about it after this tournament's done, because they want to finish on a high today. They won't want to have to then go back and face the media about having lost to Papua New Guinea in T20 World Cup, and because that's when things will really start to unravel for New Zealand. So they'll want to go out there and put their best foot forward and make sure that they finish on a high, so that when they get on that plane tomorrow, there's not so much bad news await for them when they get home. So look, as I said, I don't know what the best way to go about it is. Kane has been a fantastic captain for New Zealand. Tim has been a great captain in the Test format for New Zealand. Where to go? I'm not sure.
Right, let's move forward now to our quiz segment. Erin, we still have some questions to ask before, of course, we have to wrap up. Still waiting for that update on whether or not we will have a toss. लेकिन घबराएं मत, आज ईद का दिन है. We will not let you go without, of course, another chance of winning some prizes once again. So, Erin, what's next on that quiz roster?
Well, I'd like to actually announce who won our mobile yesterday from the Winner Parkview Mobile Daily Contest. It's my absolute pleasure to announce that the winner of that brand spanking new mobile phone was... Congratulations, Naveed Nasruddin. You've won yourself that mobile phone. That's coming all the way to you. You answered the question correctly yesterday. But it's time now to give you a question so you can win one for yourself from today's competition. And the question today is, let's take a little look. Who is known as the Sultan of Swing in cricket? Woo. There's fingers being pointed at the expert panel all the way over here. That is your question for the Parkview City Winner Mobile Daily Contest. What a wonderful prize. If you know the answer, make sure you jump on the Parkview City Islamabad or Parkview City Lahore Facebook pages and give us your answer.
And that's not all you can win from today's show. As every day, Junaid Jamshed, हमारे बहुत खूबसूरत wonderful sponsors, उन्होंने एक और परफ्यूम जो है वो हमें भेजा है आपके लिए, आपके जीतने के लिए. और आज का Junaid Jamshed सवाल आपकी स्क्रीन पर ये है. Who was the leading run scorer in the T20 World Cup 2016? अगर आपको इस सवाल का जवाब आता है तो आपकी फ़ोन नंबर जो स्क्रीन पे दिया हुआ है इस पे कॉल करें and you might be able to win a perfume by Junaid Jamshed. But I think, Erin, we do have an update on the toss. Good news, 5 to 6 minutes we will have live visuals coming in from Trinidad. Looks like the toss is happening. So let's go back and talk about what a captain should be doing if they win the toss today.
Sure.
I feel like it'll be a win the toss and bowl first. If there is rain about, then the Duckworth-Lewis comes into play, and then they'll want to know what they're chasing. And in New Zealand's case, if they win the toss, just look at Trent Bolt trying to hit the poles every ball in that first over.
If there's a bit of swing on offer, that was one thing I was just a little bit scared for in terms of that PNG top water in particular. He moves it at the best of times, let alone if conditions are in that favour. Yusuf, similar for you?
Yeah, similar for me. That especially for Trent Bolt, he knows it is his last game, and he wants to finish in the high note. And I think it's going to be hard for PNG batters. How can they play against them?
Yeah, it's going to be really tough.
प्रोफेसर आपसे पूछ तो लिया था हमने टॉस जीत के बॉलिंग करे, बट कोई चेंजेस आप देखना चाहेंगे प्लेइंग 11 में, खास तौर पे न्यूजीलैंड की टीम के अंदर आज?
मेरे ख्याल जो लास्ट टीम खेली है वही उनकी बेस्ट साइड मुझे लग रही है, और वही अगर खेले तो ज़्यादा बेहतर है, ना कि खाम खा किसी को बीच में एक आध मैच खिलवाने की मुझे नहीं लगता कि कोई ज़रूरत पेश आएगी. जो आपका विनिंग स्क्वाड है, यू शुड कंटिन्यू विद द सेम.
I had a question as well, if we've got a few moments until we get to that toss, which I think really comes across off the back of the conversations we've had about the importance of grassroots cricket and domestic cricket. Is we can sort of liken where PNG is at the moment in the infancy of their international cricketing career. What this money will do for them in terms of creating better programs, getting in better coaches, is probably similar to what happens at a grassroots level, I'm sure, in Pakistan with some of these smaller clubs. Just how important is the fact that they get to appear in this edition of the T20 World Cup. They take home that minimum $225,000 to put back into their side. Just how big an impact does this money make for a fledgling side that is just starting to really find their way in international cricket?
I think it's very important because as a player you require two things. One is the opportunity, other part is your financial support. So once you start receiving that financial support from your cricket board or from ICC, you start behaving as a pro, because before that if you don't get that much amount for you, you don't get that much infrastructure through the system, you always struggle to train yourself, you always struggle to maintain your professional skills. So I think that will be important, and this money and also the the participation of this event will give them a great boost.
Looks like the covers are coming back on. The rain is back. What is happening?
Poor Ian Smith, you just saw there, the great Ian Smith. You'll recognise his voice from all around, some of the greatest calls in cricket, and his poor blue shirt was looking mighty, mighty wet there, Roha.
Look at the ground staff.
Big drops of barish.
I mean, that's not good news for both the teams.
Yeah, not good news at all, unfortunately. So, looks like the toss has been delayed just a little bit longer here, which does bring us to the end of our show here. Vantage Developers presents Game on Hair. Roha, Eid Mubarak, beautiful. Thank you so much for your time as well. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute honour having you alongside us today, looking so sharp in your festive outfits. But of course, we will be back at the end of this competition, the end of this encounter today, New Zealand and Papua New Guinea. Fingers crossed we do get some play today, and be sure the second that we do, it'll be coming to you live on the screens of PTV Sports. But from now, that's all we have time for on the show. This has been Vantage Developers presents Game on Hair. We'll see you in a few hours.